You're listening to Lyfe and Shyt. I'm Daneyel Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. What's up, baby?
What's up, baby?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ain't nothing like that clink.
We laugh because that's what we call something else. How you doing tonight, baby?
I am hot.
Hot?
Yeah.
Hot.
Got a little heat wave going on out here.
Let's talk a little bit about this wine. Delicious.
The wine's off the chain. Alto Piano. So we
not
had
the first
it.
one, yeah.
Yeah, we've had it before. So we decided to make an investment.
Yeah, it's not our first time. And we were like, oh my goodness, this wine is so good. It was what was it? It's a fancy name. Sinvigier.
No. you threw me off with your eyes. First of all, I'm looking in your eyes and you glamored me.
I love you.
And then when you said what was the name of it, I was like, I don't remember the name of it. It's Alto Piano. Like, that's the name of it. But no, the type of wine, yes. Sangiovese. Which again, shout out to our engineer, producer Trevor, because he said that was like the OG wine, and we had to fact check him.
Yes,
and that was real. But now we're drinking Alto Piano again.
Yes,
we invested in a case, so it's going to be on the show for a little bit.
Yes,
and this was in a barrel for a little longer than usual, and MT was telling us that when it came out, it was like perfection, and it damn near is perfection.
Is delicious.
Yeah, it's off the chain.
And the longer we let it breathe, the better it tastes.
Yeah,
it is so good.
Facts.
I have a question for you, baby.
Hit me.
Did you ever think, when you had children, that you would have to stand before a judge to ask them if you could see those said children?
No, but you know what? If I was thinking like how rappers think, I'd have been like, yo, that girl over there is my new ex-baby mama.
He's silly.
And if I
what does that mean?
If I'd have thought like that, then I knew I'd have been standing in front of a judge to see my children. Like how people be like, yo, that girl right there is about to be my new ex-wife.
Like I'm go through all the things with her, and then we're gonna be done.
We're gonna be done.
I'm gonna enjoy it.
I know it's gonna be temporary. So if I had that mindset, 1,000%.
That's hilarious.
I didn't think I would have to stand in front of a judge to see my children.
That is so funny. And then really, it's not even standing before the judge, right? Because the judge comes and they read the information that's been given to them from somebody else, right? It's the mediator. The mediator is the person that you and like your spouse, who you now like you like made these vows and holy matrimony, and now you're like, I fucking hate this asshole, or I hate this bitch, or like there are people are cussing each other out, or people have to have like guards in this mediation room, right?
1,000%.
It's like craziness. You guys were in love with each other, bona fide had children together, and now you hate each other. And now you have to sit in front of this person who like literally is just like all of us, like straight up. This person gets off their job and goes to the bar and has a fucking drink sometimes, right? And goes home to their regular ass person, like there's just a regular person, like, and they're gonna tell you how you should live your life or see your kids, or how you should not see your kids, right? And this is the mediator. And then they type all this stuff up, and then they give it to the judge. And then the judge is like you think like, oh, the judge is going to have something different to say. And the judge is like, yeah, the mediator said
That's what
this.
the mediator said. You just gave a real short synopsis of my life.
I know. Yeah, I know it very well for that reason.
So we talk about visitation today. And visitation is a very broad word, but we're talking about child visitation because if you go to jail, there's visitation as well.
Yeah, this is true.
Right? And the same judge will allow you visitation or not. You got family, they got to be on the list.
Maybe a family judge and then a different criminal judge.
No matter what, a judge is.
Someone's judging you.
Exactly.
Judging your actions, judging your lives.
All because of the decisions that so it's like you make decisions and then all of a sudden we got to go to the judge to tell us how to reconcile.
Yeah, that's hard because those are decisions that you made, but you had to make them with another person, and that other person is trying to make decisions that you don't like. It's the only reason that you end up going to the judge, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't want to do that, and they're like, oh, you are going to do that, and it's like, no, I'm not, and it's like, oh, we're going to go see the judge then. Like, fuck.
And then it's all about who convinces the judge.
Yep.
Right.
Or the mediator.
Or the mediator.
Because you can't get in front of the judge and then, the judge be like, wait, what? The mediator must have missed that.
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. So when it comes to visitation, right? Now I'm speaking from my own experience, and of course I would like to start with the terrible side of it because of course after years, it's water under the bridge, and kids are older now. They're not even kids no more; they're fucking adults.
Yeah.
But what you go through in the process, because when you're young and rambunctious and you're seeking the win, because at the end of the day, it comes like who's going to win, and the winners are nobody. Like the kids don't win. I didn't win. She don't win. Like nobody wins.
She got money, so I guess if that's what she was
that
going
has
for,
nothing to do with visitation.
Well, my bad. But that's the win for women.
Yeah.
But then you get that damn kid all day. So shit, be happy with your money and that kid all day.
So and that was back in the days. Yeah. Nowadays, it's much different because we see a lot nowadays. It's dads taking care of kids.
Yeah.
Because moms just moms are doing whatever moms want to do nowadays.
We've seen a lot of moms having a lot more freedom, like dads have always had, right? Like the moms are not. It's like, but back in the day they say like mama's baby, daddy's maybe, right? And it's just like always that chance, like but now mama's just like, that's my baby, but maybe, maybe.
But that's your baby too.
Yeah.
That's what they're like. No, that's yours.
And shout out to the dads that are standing up and actually like taking care of their kids, girl, boy, like they're stepping in and taking care of their kids. That's one of the things when we're talking about visitation. I never met my dad, so for him to never have fought for me, to never have like asked or even considered or be concerned, and it's not like he didn't know I exist, because he does know I exist, right? Like he was there when I was born. He was there at least till 3 years old. I mean, it in and out at some time or another. But after that, my mom never even had an address to send like a visitation to, or like I never had any of that. So, and then shout out to my relatives now on that side that reach out to me because they knew me back then.
Yeah.
Which still gives me a sense of those roots. Like, so I grew up with like, oh no, but that's a whole other story.
So your uncles and your aunt, and at least gives you some ties to your dad.
Yes, but I really do wish, and I don't know what kind of a woman I would have been, and I think I would have been, I don't know, I don't even want to say all that because I don't know, but that is something that I did desire, is to have a male who was not seeking me out sexually or like for some advantage, but just because they wanted to love me. Like I never had that experience, right? That's a father experience to me, where someone just loves you because they just love you, So I think that's something different. So
growing up, how it works out, but you still got it.
Yeah.
Right. And it still has an opportunity to mold you and like, all right, you know what?
Oh, you said I still got it?
Yeah.
What's that?
The father experience.
No.
My dad.
Oh, well, yeah. As a woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you still had the opportunity.
Yeah. Your dad's legit. He's the only man I've ever called dad. So that's pretty cool. Well, man, he's not the only man, but he is, my stepdad I called dad, but he denied me, so that's just like different. So your dad's one who's just natural, and it feels good, and it's naturally, and it's nice.
Get your phone off the table. It's all lighting up. So, kids nowadays are different. So, I came from a generation of visitation. So, like, my dad had visitation rights, and then I had to go through visitation rights. And, it's one of those things where it becomes a cycle, right? And for me, when I was going through visitation rights, I remember sitting in family court with my moms, and Pops was on the outside, and we had to go through this. Like I was actually there going through it, where my kids wasn't there going through it. But I understand how generationally it just keeps passing on, right? And to me, I wanted to break that curse. So in my trying to break that curse, I had to go through a fight to have visitation rights.
Well, that's interesting. So you wanted to break the curse in which way, though?
Because I didn't want to have the only weekends or a judge tell me it was like, hey, these are my kids and I want them just as much as you want them. So let's work something out.
Okay.
Right. But it wasn't about working it out. It was at the same time, it was like, let's work together too, because I got to work. You got to work. Let's work together. But it didn't go that route because of, like how you said, everything was all nice and cloudy and everything was beautiful. But then when it came to that when people get divorced, I didn't know this, when you when you get divorced, you have to have a reason. And the reason was unreconcilable differences.
That's usually what people say, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It means we just didn't agree.
Exactly.
It's like we didn't agree. And that happens. Like,
and that's the trick. Like, so why you getting divorced? Because we don't agree on nothing.
I don't agree with that, man.
So they call it unreconcilable differences. And those unreconcilable differences carry over to a lot of things.
It's so true.
It's the entire relationship is unreconcilable.
The judge is like, so you can reconcile those kids? Like, how do you do that?
So and that's why they put the mediator in the middle, and they say, well, since y'all couldn't agree, let's have a referee come in the middle. And now it's a convincing battle. I have to convince the mediator. She's also convincing the mediator on why, which party should have the most or the least. And that's a trip to me that like that's how the system is set up if you don't agree.
Right.
Which I've said this before in other podcasts. My daughter and her kids, her daughters, my daughter and her kids. Daughter's father, they have a great relationship as far as when it comes to visitation. Like they work together, they talk. It's cumulative, and it's from what we see, there's no
shared
issues.
time. Their shared time is off the chain, right? It's like you get a week, I get a week. If one needs money because a car broke down and the other one helps,
they hook it up.
I as far as money and visitation, never been an issue. And that's legit because our daughter's seen you go through a bunch of shit. And she's like, I'm never going to put a man through that. And then he's seen his mom be like, put somebody through stuff. So it was different. He's just like, like this, let's just be different.
So I respect these kids nowadays. Now I respect them in a sense of that part, but they're also selfish as shit. Yeah. So and it's because
he's stupid.
Because they're like, yo, I'm not gonna have it. Well, selfish and smart, I'm gonna say, because they're like, we're not gonna have a kid at this age because I don't know who I am, and I don't want to bring a human into this world and not know who I am and trying to raise a human.
If that's what they're saying. If they're just saying like, I ain't got time for somebody else, like I was just trying to be me.
That too. I was trying to soften the blow. I wasn't trying to.
As I say, like these kids, they save the planet, right? 'Cause they're like, the planet's gonna I ain't COVID, but they're like, the planet's gonna be overpopulated, and then this new generation was just like, oh no, like. They have one kid or no kids,
1,000%.
And then the generation before that, I say they're the generation that had kids later in age. Like everyone after us.
The generation before that is us.
No, that's not me. It's you then, I
guess. No, so our kids don't. So we have 4 kids. Out of the 4, 1 has a kid.
Well, how many generations are our kids? They're not all in the same generation, are they?
Yeah, they're all there.
No, Ty's in a different generation.
Thais is a millennial. Taylor is a millennial.
And then Mar and Shay are not millennial.
And they're Gen whatever after the millennial.
Yeah.
But Amari could have a kid right now.
Okay, that's true.
And he chooses not to.
Thank God.
Yeah, Taylor could have had a kid.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, she chooses not to. Thais is the oldest. She has a kid. So, and then granted, physically Shayna could have a kid, but so they're all like they're being smart about it, right? Smart and selfish at the same time. But I think my point was the traditional factor. They're breaking the traditional rituals, because for me, I felt traditionally I needed to have kids and be married by the age of 21. And if I would have really thought about who I was at 21. I thought I was established and I thought I knew who I was. Mm-hmm. I was still a fucking kid. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then we got together when I was 23. Mm-hmm. And you remember that? You remember that guy?
Damn, that's true. 23.
Yeah. 17 years, homie.
Wow, that's hilarious. Going back to Visitation, take me on a whole nother path. Like 23-year-old Tommy Walker. Yeah, Lord help me. So there's certain types of visitation that you get, right? Like in California, which is a trip to me. So you go before the judge, and then the judge says, okay, the first thing that they give you is, or they grant you is like this reasonable visitation, right? And reasonable visitation is whatever you all agree on. I say that's okay, you say that's okay, and then we go, right? Unless, like, I'm not going to say the mom's a bitch or the dad's a bitch or the parent's fucking garbage, right? And you're just like, I don't want my kid around that parent, so I need supervised visitation. And supervised visitation is when there's a family member, a friend, or a paid professional that basically just has to sit there and watch you and your kid, which is crazy to me as well.
But we've been through that.
Yeah, we have. But it wasn't needed. Sometimes it's needed, though, right? Where parents are just like fucking creepy and crazy, and they shouldn't be around kids, but they're still the parent. So, but then sometimes the parent just goes, the one parent or the other is just like trying, like I said, this isn't about money, but just so you all know, the reason I keep on bringing up money is because in the state of good old California, the more visitation you have, the more money you get from women.
No, opposite. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you not, and it's not visitation.
Well, it's the more time you have, more time, right? Yeah. So the whatever. So based on visitation is how your child support is done, right?
And how much money everybody makes.
Yeah, that as well too. Well, that's how much you get, right? So if you're with a man who makes $100 a month, I'm just keeping it real simple, right? $100 a month, and you get 50% custody, then you get $50, right? But if you're with a man that makes let's say just like $10,000 a month, then you get $5,000 of those dollars if you have that kid for 50% of the time. So yeah, based on. So if you have a man who doesn't make, or if you were with a man who didn't make, which is why, which is where gold diggers, and that's a whole nother podcast, right? This is why 50 Cent says things like, have a baby by me and become a millionaire. And he won't even be around the baby. He won't even come and see the child. It's an investment. And he'll still be a millionaire. And then there's no visitation, right? That's the last thing that they can give you. And to me, that's just like parents that suck totally, right? Judges don't generally give you no visitation unless you are like super, super horrible to the kid. And I'm just saying, like, you've done some bad things to kids. And that's probably why you would get no visitation. Yeah,
well, going back to my own personal experience, because this is what we call experience share. You talked about the different types of having people, or you have regular visits. So we had like for me, I had to have a supervisor when my kids came over.
Yeah, you had reasonable, and then it got supervised. Not for a long time, but for a couple of months?
I don't even remember how long it was. It was, well, all right, so let me build this out for y'all, because this is called Life and Shyt. So this is the shitty part of my life, where I had a restraining order, and because I poked somebody in the nose. So a restraining order for poking somebody in the nose. And like literally, if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, I was like this, don't you ever do this.
And if you guys are listening, then just think of someone just going off on someone and then poking them in the face. Like literally. Sorry, it's not funny.
It's funny now. It wasn't funny then when I was going through it, but it's hilarious, because when you sit in the courtroom and the judge says, you poked her in the nose,
you're like, yes.
Yes, I did. It wasn't a mush. It was like stop it.
It wasn't a punch. Yeah, it wasn't
so that and not going into details, but there was a story built that made me look like a bad guy. And when you look like a bad guy in front of a judge, the judge is going to take the lane of least resistance and say, this is for the benefit of the children, right? Because now It don't. Now, granted, you just said if you're a terrible parent, then you get no visitation. There's nowhere on paper that I was a terrible parent, but it was a story was built. So that's where the convincing comes. So if you're not convincing enough, then, and that's the sad part about, and we talked about this when it came down to our podcast about child support and how that whole system works. Like everything's a system. And unfortunately, the system is not meant for people that are really trying to work it out. The system works when people are fucked up. Like, so if you're fucked up, yes, go through the system. But then when there's two people that just really just can't get along, then it becomes a competition.
Yeah, and then people try to take every part of the system and manipulate it to their advantage. Yeah. And that's even from if you spank a child, right? If you spank a child, or if you do something like, like a child has to be disciplined. So if you discipline a child and the other parent is like, you did what? And takes it to the next level, then that's an issue.
So I've been through we had to have somebody come in and be the what do they call it?
Supervised visitation.
The supervised visitation. So I had a restraining order. I had the supervised visitation. I went through classes. I went through a lot of shit.
You changed because of it. To be honest,
yeah, I changed because at that point I was like, ego is the enemy. You're right. Like it was like, to me it was like, all right, who's gonna win? And I was like, well, shit, she fucking won. Because now I got to go through all this. I have to pay for it. Like, it got me financially. It got me emotionally. So I was like, all right, you won. Yo, you know what? It's not even worth it. Like, at the end of the day, I just want to take care of my children and see my children and hang out with my children. And if you don't agree with how I raise my children, who cares?
Yeah, and then you say she won, and I never saw it like as that. I never saw it as a big competition thing, but and I never seen it as like a she won. And if it was that though, the way she would have won is for you to be out of your kid's life totally, right? To not have any visitation. To me, the goal and just saying was just to make the kids not like you ever.
1,000%.
I think that's what it was.
But it was a win in the court system.
Yeah.
The win was in the court system.
You're in California, so and they say California is a mother state. And like, what does that mean exactly? It just means that they go for moms. In California, there's apparently dads just are crappy. Yeah.
And shout out to all my homies, but I've seen a lot of y'all. Goddamn.
Yeah, in California.
We got a lot of work to do as men.
Yeah. Because moms have been putting on the and I'm one, right? Like I'm on the flip coin of that visitation, right? Where I've never been in court. Like I've never had to stand before a judge and fight to have visitation or to give visitation to someone. No one's ever fought me.
Let's talk about that, because your visitation was totally different. So one thing I didn't say with my restraining order and supervised, and then I also had to do exchanges at a police station.
True.
Right?
That's right.
So we had to be at a police station.
That was closed, which was weird to me.
Exactly.
It was like, what? Like,
the police station was,
he poked me in my nose, so we have the
to
exchange at a police station. I guess maybe there's cameras there or whatever, but we're just exchanging kids, which is all that should have happened in the first damn place, but there was always drama brought.
Exactly. But your visitation exchange was in the middle of the fucking freeway.
Yeah.
Like it was a halfway point. Right? You know what I mean? It's like, all right, we're
going to meet.
Because
they were in LA and we're in San Diego.
Yeah, so on the side of a freeway, here you go. This is what it is.
Yep, and that's just how it always was.
No judge involved. No, nobody said this is what you have to do. No. But you decided, like, hey, if you want to see the children, this is how it's going to be done.
Yep.
And as long as you want to see them, it's cool. And he was like, all right, I guess I do want to see him.
And then shout out to his family. I love his family, because they're the ones that really want to see the girls, right? So I mean, and I get that. I get that a lot. So it's like he would just be the case, like
he was the conduit.
The conduit, exactly, to get them to where they needed to go, and that was it. And then once they were there, I knew they would be fine. Yep, and they'd be okay, So it was like, all right. So it wasn't like they were in. I mean, let me just be very clear. If they were to hang with him like for the whole summer, it was horrible, Like the one time they did.
We ain't throwing shade.
Oh, okay.
Don't throw no shade.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm just saying. It was just not.
It was a long time ago.
Don't throw shade. Yeah. Are you serious? Okay, I won't throw shade, but I never had to fight for visitation. That's not throwing shade.
No, you didn't have to fight for it. You wasn't going to court like this motherfucker. What? You what? 50, 60%?
Nah, you know.
That's 1,000% true.
And it's no like I can't even say it, but I just don't want the girls to feel as if they weren't wanted because they had someone who stood in his place, and you still fight for them. You're still there for them. So I appreciate you for that.
It's my babies. Thank you. Since 9 and 6. It was 9, 6, 3, and 0. Yeah. Just like that. Yeah. But you know, this podcast is really just an experience share. You know, and you know, you take what you take from it. You know, it was one of those things of something that we went through, and people kind of tend like, oh, you didn't. I said people kind of tend. People don't feel like you go through shit, and we all go through shit. Yeah, man. We do. Like everybody goes through something, and because I'm smiling, I'm laughing, and I'm happy is because I went through so much shit. That's so good. So I have to share the shit that I went through to let you know that there's light on the other side, there's growth on the other side, and there's a better you on the other side.
That's real shit right there. I love that. And no one should have to fight for a child that they had, right? Like you had this child, like you shouldn't have to fight in front of a stranger for your child, and that's crazy to me.
That's real.
When someone believes that they should have total control of your child and what you do with it, like that's foul. Like that like you should, when you have a child, no, you got half on this baby, and you have to share it.
Super dope. It's life and shit. Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.